Sponsored by Midland. Communication for every adventure. The industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years.
Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
Hi, my name is Phil from Waypoint Overland, and you're listening to Random Waypoints. All right, so here we go. Welcome to another episode of the Random Waypoints podcast. We'll be doing an episode every week, so like, share, and subscribe. You can hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss an episode. Later in the show, we'll be answering a viewer's question as a part of Taste Test, looking at some gear to enhance your experience in the outdoors, and we'll have another installment of a segment called Waypoints that deals with navigation and planning itineraries for the overland traveler. Also, I'll share another one of my random lists. You don't want to miss this one, so stay tuned. But first, let's look at the news.
During this segment, we'll cover various topics with a connection to overlanding in some way. It could be land use news regarding the national parks or the Bureau of Land Management. We'll keep you up to date on any auto industry news when it pertains to relevant and potential overlanding vehicles. There will be camping and outdoor industry news, as well as photography and video, fishing, hiking, and on and on. Now, here's the news.
A new overland event was just announced. In West Mineral, Kansas, May 14th to the 16th, there will be the Big Iron Overland Rally. This is from the guys behind Midwest Overlanding and Off-Road Expo in Springfield, Missouri, which was just held this last February. Big Iron Overland Rally, according to event organizers, is a 3-day weekend campout and concert experience at the Big Brutus Historic Landmark. This event will have many activities for family fun as well as performances from many great local artists. Products, merchandise, and food vendors will be on display. You can learn more at bigironoverlandrally.com. Canoe, an American manufacturer of electric vehicles, unveiled images of its first electric pickup truck, appropriately named the Canoe Pickup Truck. Canoe designed it to remain as flat as possible by not using standard steering columns and shock towers. Their platform utilizes steering and braking by wire, which allows for a flatbed size comparable to America's best-selling pickup truck on a smaller footprint. According to Canoe, this also makes the pickup truck easier to maneuver and park in any terrain. They say pre-orders will start in the second quarter of this year, and the truck's delivery in early 2023. Executive Chairman Tony Aquila said in a statement that this truck is as strong as the toughest trucks out there and is designed to be exponentially more productive. We made accessories for people who use trucks, on the job, weekends, adventure. You name it, we did it because it's your platform and she's bad to the bone. Highlights include 200 miles of range on a charge, 600 horsepower and 550 foot-pounds of torque, and a payload capacity of up to 1,800 pounds. Canoe Incorporated is located in Torrance, California. In my opinion, the workstations, bed extension, lights, and power outlets could make it a strong contender for overlanders considering electric vehicles in the future. Now it's time for another random list.
Random Lists is all about lists Waypoint Overland has created on an array of topics, such as top 5 national parks, top 10 trails in the United States, top 10 fill in the blank. I think you get it. Some lists will be pure fun, and others very informational. But they all will have a connection to overlanding in some way. We're very interested in hearing your suggestions for upcoming lists in the comments. Now, here's our random list.
My random list this week is my top 5 new stock vehicles worth considering for overland travel. These are new vehicles worth considering in stock form or minimal upgrading for overland travel, in my opinion. You know, modifying your overland vehicle can be a proud and fulfilling time, and I can attest to this personally. I even enjoy watching other overlanders' rigs evolve, but there are many risks that come with those vehicle upgrades. One is you're betting that your upgrades trump the research and development teams your particular vehicle employed to design your vehicle. And more than likely, you'll be putting your vehicle under maximum stress levels. You can make a bad decision on an upgrade that fails and your epic journey is derailed, or worse, you end up somewhere remote and stranded. Most vehicles that I've encountered on the trail that have suspension failures are heavily upgraded vehicles that in appearance look indestructible. I've seen people do things to their rig that they never really were able to correct and ruined their driving experience forever. All the rigs on my list would be considered ready for overland travelers, stock from the auto lot. The list was derived from my personal experiences, auto insider info, and opinions from reading articles and research. So with that, in no particular order, my first vehicle is the Jeep Wrangler. The Jeep Wrangler comes in at around $43,500, and the bottom line is there are not many places you can't go in a stock Wrangler. They're extremely capable right from the factory. The Jeep Wrangler is a regular off-road comparison winner, an SUV of the year winner by auto magazines, off-road experts, and owners like me. And now the engine options available include an electric version. I have at number 2, the Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro at around $55,000. It has a good payload, smooth ride, and a beefed up drivetrain. There hasn't been many updates, and that's because it's a tried and true dependable vehicle with a loyal following. The 4Runner has long been a favorite of off-roaders because of its perceived reliability and large aftermarket support. With the TRD Pro model, you don't have to modify your 4Runner because it's capable out of the box. Some highlights of the TRD package is Fox Racing shocks, a locking rear diff, a snorkel, and Toyota's multi-terrain select system. I have at number 3, the Jeep Gladiator at around $45,300. Almost the same story as the Wrangler. A stock Gladiator will get you just about anywhere you want to go. However, it has a longer wheelbase, so you'll be using those skid plates more frequently. It has a good payload capacity for its size, with a segment best 4-wheel drive payload of up to 1,200 pounds. Overlanders have a choice of the Rubicon or the Mojave edition of the Gladiator. Highlights of the Rubicon model are the locking front and rear differentials, an electric anti-roll bar disconnect, and a low range with the 4-to-1 crawl ratio. Highlights of the Mojave model are a beefed up frame and shocks and a wider front track for better stability. It too has a lock and rear differential, but no front lock or anti-roll bar disconnect. Both models come with 33-inch tires, steel bumpers, skid plates, and rock rails. At number 4, I have the Toyota Land Cruiser. If you ask someone to close their eyes and picture someone overlanding, then you ask them, what vehicle did they see? There's a good chance, no matter what they drive, they say a Toyota Land Cruiser. The Land Cruiser will cost you about $86,700, and it will absolutely live up to the reputation it's had since 1951. People buy used Land Cruisers with 200,000 miles on them and are ecstatic about it. Then they routinely take them all around the world for another 200,000 miles. You'll see Land Cruisers being used by kings, dictators, explorers, military, farmers, pretty much everything in between. That's because they're highly capable, highly durable, and historically extremely reliable. At number 5, I have the Ram 2500 Power Wagon at $50,000. The Power Wagon, in my opinion, is currently one of the most off-road capable new pickup trucks you can purchase today. Now, highlights for this vehicle are it has a locking front and rear diff, electronic anti-roll bar, steel body armor, and a worn winch rated for 12,000 pounds. For some, this will be too big of a vehicle to take on the trail, and you have to take in consideration it's also gas hungry. But I don't see any other cons than that. Now, I want to talk about Knox binoculars. After you have all the essentials on your list for an overland journey, I recommend augmenting that list with some things especially for your enjoyment. Things that will add to the experience. If you can combine other benefits, it's a bonus. Now, something that I would tell every overlander to have are a decent pair of binoculars. They bring many benefits to your overland journey. Dog owners can spot a lost puppy, keeping visual contact with a spouse, children, or a team member. Visually checking avalanche conditions on a backcountry trail, deciding an appropriate route, and being able to enjoy the wildlife from an appropriate distance, or just enjoying landscapes. Knox binoculars, in my opinion, are perfect travel binoculars and should be given consideration by any overlander, no matter who you are. They're a great pair of compact, cool-looking binoculars. You can throw them in your bag and at an excellent price. I love mine. These are mine right here. Now, I own other binoculars that I have no complaints about, but they're expensive and they're heavy. So I basically treat them like museum pieces. Now, the Knox, at a suggested retail price of $89, I find myself actually using them and taking them everywhere. They're light, small, waterproof. They're perfect for a hiker, kayaker, backpacker, or just hitting the beach. Now, living here in the Pacific Northwest where we get tons of rain, being waterproof is a requirement for me. But what I like now is I have a pair of binoculars that look cool in any environment. Sometimes you just want to look like you don't want to look like you're on a special mission. That actually had a lot to do with me wanting them. They had color options to please just about anybody. Now, these are 8x25, so I wouldn't recommend these for like a dedicated bird watcher. But with that, I've spotted many birds with mine. You can stash them in your glove compartment, console, or your jacket. Here's the measurements here. Now, these are called the standard issue, and they're waterproof at an IPX7 rating, which means that they can be submerged in up to 3.3 feet of water for 30 minutes. They're also nitrogen injected and sealed to prevent internal fogging. I have no hesitation using them in rain, snow, or any kind of weather. Another bonus that I really like is that the standard issue is designed for shooting smartphone photos through the eyepiece, with the Knox serving as the equivalent of a 400 millimeter camera lens. You just twist out one of the eye cups and you can either hold your phone up to it, or you can get one of these holders and it'll hold it up there for you. I also like that they fit in the palm of your hand and that they have a thick rubber ribbing to ensure a good grip. They have a lifetime warranty against product defects, and they come with a 30-day return policy. I think for $89, Knox is something you'll enjoy over and over again, and they'll accentuate your overland travel. Now let's find some waypoints.
Waypoints. Waypoints will cover all aspects of navigation for the overland traveler. Navigation is the act or practicing of navigating, the method of determining position, course, and distance traveled.
Okay, this week we go over how to find those trails and back roads on our overland journeys. With all the planning we've been discussing, which is a good thing, you may be like me and have a desire to discover new trails along the way. How do you go about it? Well, there's enough GPS devices and mapping apps out there that today that is relatively easy to explore. I still marvel at Google Maps and the amount of information you can glean there. But my top recommendation still remains what it's always been. Ask somebody. Stop in a visitor center, a ranger station. Don't just grab a brochure and look at a display. Walk up to someone, tell them what you're about, and do they have any recommendations? When you're in town stocking up, be polite and ask about the surrounding area. Hopefully, they'll tell you one of their personal favorites, which is usually not in a brochure, and no amount of research would have told you about it. I've interrogated park rangers I encounter on the trail. I've done it when they're pumping gas in town. I see a local with a rig that looks like it sees trail time. I get to asking questions. Last year, I was passing through South Dakota, and it was challenging to find any trails of any decent length. I complimented a lady on her rig at a gas station, and she made it clear that she owns it and she uses it. I told her about the journey I was on and what I was looking for. She suggested using the local farm roads that aren't on a map. She had me follow her, and she pointed me to where to enter and waved goodbye. I was able to take these long farm roads through sunflower fields along dirt roads for long distances across the state. There's no way without a local you would ever know this road exists. So talk to people. Now, I'm going to recommend Google Maps. This has changed my planning in so many ways beyond just finding a trail. The satellite imagery, it allows me to look at areas and see the trails and see if they actually exist. The amount of pertinent information at my fingertips is still amazing to me. And if you have a Guide GPS subscription, you can access Google Maps through Guide GPS. Start now collecting locations when you hear about them. Start notating coordinates. They'll collect over time, and when you start planning an adventure, most of the info you need is already in front of you. Many times, the trails I discover and decide to try are figured out as I approach the area. So part of finding or discovering trails is having detailed mapping information at your fingertips as you go along your journey. To make sure that happens, I use a dedicated GPS unit as well as a dedicated tablet that has all my maps, trails, routes, campsites, and anything of any note on it. I've downloaded Google Maps, Guide GPS, including all the layers and several other mapping apps for the whole US and Canada. And yes, it takes forever to do that. If you decide to use a dedicated tablet and you haven't purchased one yet, I recommend going with an Android. You can purchase the most powerful tablet you can afford and choose the smallest capacity storage and then add an SD card. With Apple, it has fixed storage, so you're forced to go with their most expensive option, so that may be a huge obstacle for some. I'm already stuck in the Apple ecosystem, so I had to look at it as a long-term investment in something I do regularly, and it's been worth it to me. Also, if you get a tablet, I recommend getting one with cell service. It'll give you so many more options and capabilities if you do. This is the tool that helps me discover on the road, and the screen is big enough to see, to make decisions, and not drive off the trail. Many times I've been on my planned route but decided on going a completely different route because of the information I could pull up readily and see instantly. So a tablet with good mapping software is my second biggest recommendation for finding those unique trails and back roads as you go along your overland journey. You just need to pick a path amongst the waypoints. Next week, we'll get in depth on how to use Guide GPS and another app called Onyx Off-Road in your planning and as well as along your journey. Now let's get into a viewer question on taste tests.
Taste tests. Taste test is where we evaluate the taste of a food product, whether on its own or compared with other products. Some taste tests will be conducted blind, while others will focus on a particular brand or item.
I want to start this week's taste test with questions I've received from viewers on Instagram. Our first viewer wrote, "I love your taste testing part of the show. I'm 52, retired, currently exploring Arizona, and living the van life. I was wondering what you would suggest that's simple but makes for a good presentation for guests around the campfire. something that works with alcohol. Thanks, and keep it going. Another viewer wrote, I love the way you explain how different wines taste, but you compared them to your favorite everyday wine and never mentioned what wine it was. Maybe you can taste it for us. First, I want to thank you guys for watching and taking the time to reach out. I've decided to incorporate your questions into the segment this week. We're going to have my favorite everyday wine and make a charcuterie board. This is my simple recommendation. It will go with an assortment of beverages. Most people will find something that they like, and if you take the time to present it well, it should have an impact at the campfire. Charcuterie is something I love, and this is going to be fun for me. I'm always making small charcuterie boards as a lunch or a snack. There's so many options that it never gets old for me. Now, charcuterie is a French term for a branch of cooking devoted to preparing meats, such as bacon, ham, sausage, terrines, pâtés, confit, mostly pork products. It was originally intended as a way to preserve meat before the advent of refrigeration. They are prepared today for their flavors derived from the preservation process. Charcuterie has evolved from its traditional French appreciation for cured and cooked meats to become a culinary art form that's more focused on flavor, pairings, and eye appeal. What you'll typically find on a charcuterie board is cured meats, cheese, olives, nuts, dried fruits, jellies, preserves, crackers, toasts, or baguettes. Today, I just grab things that I eat regularly from the fridge, throw them in a cooler, and haul to here. So let's get right into this. All right, so here's our plate. Today, like I said, I just grabbed some things that I eat regularly from the fridge, threw them in the cooler, hauled them here, and I just assembled them. It took me maybe 10 minutes to make this. And let's take a look. We have the liverwurst. We have the pâté. Have gournay cheese. Next to that, we have the pepper jack cheese. We have the jalapenos, and we have red onions. We have the salami, the Atlantic salmon, the prosciutto, the copacolo, and the mackerel. All right, so the first thing I want to start off with is I want to grab me a cracker, and I've had the taste for liverwurst. I haven't had liverwurst in a while, and it's something that I used to eat very regularly, but I'm kind of particular about my liverwurst, and I only certain brands that I like to eat. This is made by a company called Wilshire. They're nobody special, but I know they make decent stuff. So liverwurst, if you don't want to eat it on a cracker, liverwurst with some chopped onion, sliced onions, just regular white onions or yellow onions, delicious. Now, this was an answer to a question about something that you could present that would have some kind of impact. Now, I'm not saying this is supercalifragilistic special, but if you take the time to present it and you give all of these choices, I think people will be halfway impressed. They'll know that you took a little time and effort for them. And the thing about it that I like is, if you make a charcuterie board like this for a group of people and you don't really know who's all at the campfire, somebody's going to like something here. And if you have some vegetarians or some pescatarians, you just add more things for them that you think they'll like, because there's so many different things. Like I said, charcuterie used to be it was like a cooking art on how to preserve meats, but now it's more about showing off particular meats with other things on a board more so. It's kind of become more like an art more so than culinary. Now, hold on just a second. I left an ingredient. I'll be right back. Okay, so I had to get some soy sauce. It's an important ingredient to this, so I had to get it. I went all the way back to the car for it. Okay. Now, one of the other questions that I was asked was about what was my everyday wine. Well, my everyday wine is whatever my wife buys and pours every day. And this is our wine. It's a Menage a Trois. It's a red blend, and it's delicious, and that's why it's my everyday wine. It averages about $10 a bottle, which is, I think, a pretty decent price for a wine that you're going to be drinking every day. I think that's a budget-friendly price. And I don't know if they're still there, but me and my wife went to their actual winery in Napa Valley. Forget that name, that main road that you drive down where you pass all of the different wineries. It was on that main road. I can't think of what the name of that main road is. If you know, say it down in the description, or if you've been there. And you've probably heard of it. It's not like a secret wine. It's a pretty popular wine. They do well. But if you haven't heard of it, Menage a Trois, I highly recommend it. It's a good wine. Has a good smell. It has a fruity flavor. It's a consistent flavor. Some wines that I drink, it's a bottle to bottle or case by case thing as far as their taste. In general, they may taste the same, but there's a little slight difference. Somehow, however they make their wine, it's always the same. It's always consistent, and it's a good consistent. It has like a plum flavor to it, but I don't think there's any plums in it. Okay, it's going to take too much homework. I should have checked for that before, but it has like a dark plum taste. But it's a blend, so it's a mix of different red wines. It's a safe wine too. This is a wine, if you bring it to a event, a group of people, a campfire, whatever it may be, if they halfway like wine, even if red wine isn't their favorite wine, they're gonna be okay with this wine. This is a safe wine. If I was in charge of a wedding reception and they said they need a red wine and we could only have one red wine, this is the one that I would absolutely pick, because I know that the only way you're not going to like it is you don't like red wine. That's the only way. It's a safe wine. It's no tricks. It's just a good, consistent wine. It's more on the fruity flavor side than it is on the alcoholic taste. You know how when you first take a sip and then like that aftertaste you get, and it's like a little alcohol type taste. You don't get that with this, and that's why I like it, because I can drink a whole bottle of this. I've done it many times, and it just goes down smooth. And I'm shocked, and I grab the bottle. I'm like, oh, I drank a whole bottle, and I'm not really a drinker. You guys are gonna get tired of me saying that I'm not a drinker. And he's like, he drinks every week, and he seems like he's doing okay, but I'm really not a drinker. And even though I'm calling this my everyday wine, I do not drink wine every day. It's usually when I'm sitting with my wife, like watching a movie, Like we watched a movie we had been waiting to come out on Amazon this weekend that we watched together, and we had a bottle of this wine, some sushi and some wine. Okay, so let's go back to this charcuterie board. Now, almost every basic charcuterie board has the salami, some kind of cheese, and then people go in different directions. I like a lot of seafood on mine, and I actually pulled back on that because I've had some of the products that I would normally have on here. I've shown you other weeks, so I didn't want to have it up here because I like to have like oysters, clams, mussels, all of them smoked out of cans. And I like sardines. I really like sardines. I like sardines when they pack them in hot sauce and mustard. I like them when they're just packed in olive oil. The rare time that I've had them, I like them cooked fresh. I've only had them cooked fresh twice. Once in Florida and once in, I don't remember. Okay, so we're gonna start eating some of this stuff. Now, I already told you about the pate. Now, the pate, that's gonna be one of the things that's gonna be iffy with some people. It has, if you've had liver, you have an idea of the taste. You don't know the exact taste, but you know the ballpark taste that I love. Now, I want to show you something that I make. This is something I eat regularly. I want you to check this out. The main reason I have the red onion and the jalapeno here is because I like to take a piece of salmon about that size, and I take a piece of jalapeno, I stick it right smack dab in the middle. I take a little bitty chunk of onion, and I put it on there too. And then I just take this and I wrap it up. And then I dip it in my soy sauce. The salmon with the red onion and the jalapeno with the soy sauce. It's a salty, savory flavor. It's delicious. If you like salmon, you're gonna love this. If jalapenos spice doesn't bother you, you're gonna love this. Now, if you're like borderline on the spicy thing, where like you can eat some things spicy, some things not, you know, you're right on the border. Just make sure that the jalapenos you get the ones that are in the jar in like the oil. Make sure to read and get the ones that say mild, and they'll be more spicy than they'll be hot. It won't be a heat hot. It'll be a spicy hot. It'll be a flavorful hot, which is what I'm looking for. Okay, we're going to try something more traditional, but I eat it a little different. I like a wheat cracker. And I'm a sucker for red onion. And this particular cheese that I've got, I've been eating the same cheese forever. Pepper jack cheese. I like stuff with a little spice in it. Otherwise, the cheese is kind of boring to me. Now, the person who asked me the question about what's something quick and easy to serve at the campfire, you don't have to have this many things. I'd say minimum have 3 items, have at least one meat, one cheese and one other of something else that you think others would like. Or, Google search charcuterie. Like I said, you can have a minimum of 3, but I've seen spreads where there's literally 50, 60, 70 different types of choices of different meats and cheeses and pates and mousses and pistachio nuts and almonds and figs and all types of stuff. So there's no limits to this. And in my opinion, it's very hard not to like a charcuterie board. It's just put the stuff on it that you like. If you don't like nothing up here that you see, that doesn't mean you don't like a charcuterie board. That means you don't like the charcuterie that I picked. So check it out. Even if you don't like what you see here, just check it out. This is a good thing around the campfire. And it'll be gone quick. And the cleanup, all you have to do is clean your board. Just clean your board and your knives and maybe some silverware. But most people will eat half the stuff with their hands. Now, I have the prosciutto up here, but it was more for an example. I'm not really a prosciutto fan, but we're going to have some. Yeah. And when I say I'm not a fan of it, I'm not a fan of it in this form. I love it when it's used like as a flavor enhancer to something else. Well, not really of a fan of it here. I got a real good deal on it, so I just threw it in the cart. I get my groceries delivered from Amazon, and to make you spend more money, I feel like they have algorithms or something, and they'll suggest something that you normally like, that you want, and it'll be at such a cheap price that even though you weren't shopping for it that particular day, you're like, oh, let me get that. So, because I think it was like $1.99, and this particular prosciutto is like $12.99. So, and I wouldn't have got it otherwise. So, something else that I really like are pates. I love all kind of pates. I have a friend of mine, he lives in Maine, and he makes his own pates. I love pates. He makes good pates. I don't know anybody else who makes them, so I'm forced to buy them. I guess I could learn. I've watched on YouTube, and I don't think it's like a really hard process, but it's just not my thing. It's not exciting to me. So this particular pate is a pork pate. It's called a capanga, champagne or something like that. It's the most popular, most common pate that's sold. You can go to practically any halfway decent grocery store and they'll have this kind of pate. Now, this is a good brand of pate, but it's a very ordinary pate, and it's delicious. I waited too early. I waited too late. I wanted to order a duck pate, but it would have got here after the show. Do you like duck? Because I love duck. I love duck. Most people that I know, if they do like duck and they do make it, they only make it for Christmas or New Year's or something like that. I cook a duck whenever I want a duck. Ducks are good. And living here in Washington, we have several different farms to choose from. You can go to the farmer's market, and those farms will will be there. You can get duck that's like a day old. Get it if you want it cut up, they'll cut it up how you want, or they'll give you just the parts that you want. Some of them even have like bags of scraps from them, like cutting off the breast and everything, and then they have parts left over for stock. I love duck. And then there's a company in I should have mentioned this. Yeah, there's a company called D'Artagnan's in New York. Remember that. Anything that you see up here, they've got the best version of this. So if you ever like trying to have like a real high-end charcuterie board, I recommend going onto D'Artagnan website and ordering, but it's expensive. So, we always talking about saving some money, but you ain't gonna save no money if you do that. But you will never forget the food that you get from them and ate. I like to get my ducks from them. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna eat is some mackerel. Now this is from Patagonia Provisions. If you guys haven't figured it out yet, I eat a lot of things from Patagonia Provisions. I'm a fan of Patagonia. I'm a fan of that. I really don't trust no big companies, but when a company at least tries a little bit, I have to respect them. And they admit that part of their production and their work is destructive to the environment, like a lot of companies, but they're actually trying to lessen their impact on the environment. They actually put forth an effort. They actually take some of your money and put it back into the ecosystem and saving the world. So I feel good when I buy clothes from Patagonia. I feel good about when I get food from them. I feel like I'm doing something with my money. Now the mackerel, I think I told you about this on another show. I'm going to show you right now. You can take some of this gournay. Get a little bit more. All right, you take a little gournay cheese. And we're going to cut up some red onion real small and put it into the gournay cheese. And we're going to take a little bit, because we're only making a small portion. I could actually use all of this, but I'm just making an example here. So put some mackerel in there. And you just mix it up. And I'm telling you, it's like a mackerel spread, but better. And you can make a sandwich. You can put it on a cracker. You can eat it like that. Now, the way I make mine, I also add jalapeno. Yep, I did tell you about this. I remember. I think a couple of weeks ago I told you about this. So I'm glad I get to show you now. Okay, and so you put a little bit on your cracker. Again, it's gournay cheese, jalapeno, red onion, and mackerel. And it doesn't have to be mackerel. It can be salmon. It can be smoked salmon, and it can be sardines. Sardines is actually my preference. It can be tuna. And this is something, if you mixed up, it'll taste good. It wasn't hard to make. And it won't be the same old stuff that you eat all the time at camp. Something new. Something new. And, a lot of times something new means extra work. And I'm saying it's just different work. I'm not talking about doing more work. Just different work, different food, different preparation. I love this. I don't know if I mentioned it. Tuna goes good with this too. Now, another reason why I'm suggesting charcuterie boards is because we're supposed to be talking about people on an overlanding trip. So I don't want to suggest a bunch of fancy things to do that, one, you're not going to be able to find whatever it is that I'm talking about, or it's something hard to do. This is something that everything up here will, if your fridge went out or you didn't have ice, nothing up here is going to spoil. The cheese needs a little refrigeration. The pate would do better having some refrigeration. But if you like ran out of ice, you could go a day or two and the pates will be fine. You can go 2 or 3 days and the gournay cheese and the pepper jack cheese will be fine. You can go 3 to 4 days and the salmon and the salami would be fine. The mackerel is in a can, so it'll definitely be fine. So what I'm saying is these are things that you can put in your fridge, can put in your cooler, can put in your dry box, and later on in the trip, pull them out. Or you can eat them right away. My point is that you don't have to plan to hurry up and eat them that first or that second day. And I do that. I like a good piece of fish. Fish is actually my favorite food. Seafood, I should say, is my favorite food. And I think it's time for me to try some more of this wine. Now, it's getting warmer here, and I've been riding my bike, and I'm feeling good. And what I'm leading up to is either next week or the week after, I'll be doing a show outside. That's all I know. I don't know how exactly it's going to go. I don't know where it's going to be, but my plan is to get outside. And no matter if I do a show or not outside, I plan on doing some cooking segments outside, because I can't do them in here. Fire alarm will go off. I'm trying to think. I want to make sure that if there's something I wanted to tell you that I haven't forgotten it. I told you about each food. I tried them all. I showed you my mackerel and cheese mix. I told you what my wine was, which is a Menage a Trois. I hope that's not regional, but because I've been on the West Coast for a long time, and no matter where I go on the West Coast, I can find that wine. So I'm sorry if I recommended something that some of you guys can't actually get. It's a good wine. Usually, after whatever you see me drink, that's all I drink. But I'm not going to pour this out. I'm going to drink this. I have stuff that I have to do before I leave, and it's going to be a pleasure to drink this. I have a little cooler over there, so I'm going to put it there and sort of stay at a nice little temperature. I'm going to keep it open so it can air out some more. See, I'm too lazy. I want to make some more of that spread, but I'm too lazy to do it. So this isn't going to be a long taste test because this wasn't my plan for this week. But I got 2 questions that I felt like I could answer during this taste test segment. Somebody wanted to know, what wine I drank as an everyday, because I used that as the barometer when I was tasting some other wines. And another person wanted an idea. I may actually do that periodically, just show you stuff that is very quick, very easy, but people were like, oh, wow, she must really like me. He must really like me. Like I said, most of this stuff, I just took it out of my out of my refrigerator. It all comes from the grocery store. And again, I'm rambling. That wraps up another episode of this podcast. We'll see you next week. I hope you like, share, and subscribe. And with that, I want everybody to stay safe, tread lightly, and hopefully I'll see you here or on a trail soon.
Sponsored by Midland. Communication for every adventure. The industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years. You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.